I'd like to call to order the meeting, the regular meeting for the Ag Advisory Committee, February 9th, 2026. I'm the chair, Natalie Sayre. I will now do the roll call. James Orku, Natalie Sayre here, John Bars, Peter Markey,
Here.
Ryan Casey,
Here.
Cole Mazaragios Anastasio,
Here.
Crystal Shea,
Here.
Daniel Theobald, Eric Hagstrom, Marilyn Johnson, San Mateo County Agricultural Commissioner Corin Whittle,
Here.
Farm Bureau Exec Director Jess Brown, UC Co-op Extension Rep Dr. Igor Lacan, San Mateo County Planning Liaison Robbie Miller.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Who? John? Okay, thank you. John Bars, for the record, is on his way.
And Daniel should be online, but he can't participate because he's remote. He's out of the state.
Okay, so Daniel Theobald is participating remotely.
He's not participating, but he's listening in.
Okay, is he participating as a AAC member or just as a member of the public?
It was recommended that he does not participate as public or participant or as a member. So he'll just be, you can see he's listening in.
Okay.
Yep. And he sent the email about his absence.
He did.
Okay.
So Daniel Theobald, just for the record, did in fact let us know that he'd be unable to attend this meeting.
Well, why wouldn't he be able to just?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. Previously, and that's one of the reasons that I was checking with Robbie as well, and to make sure that he wasn't doing it remotely, because in the past, we were told that members couldn't do it remotely unless they had a difficulty like an illness or something related to a disability. However, I think that needs to be clarified, because if in fact, some people can do it that aren't members, maybe county liaisons or whoever, I think that it should be equal and fair across everybody. And that's something we can agendize for the future.
He's out of state.
No, I understand he's out of state, but
He's out of the geography of California.
right.
And I know there's some rule about you have to be in the state.
Well, but the rule, but as far as, but it wasn't a fact. It wasn't a fact of prior rule, not a rule, I'm sorry. It was told to us, I want to be clear, that we as committee members could not be remote if in fact we couldn't get here. And I think that is, I'm glad you brought that up, Marilyn, because I think it's important that that's something that we talk about, we agendize and discuss, because it needs to be equal across the board, because there's some people that can do that. And as committee members, especially as volunteer members, if in fact we get into a pickle, we need to be able to do that too. You know, so I'm glad you brought that up. And that's something we should agendize for the meeting. Public comment, to allow the public to address the committee on any matter not on the agenda. If your subject is not on the agenda, the chair will never recognize you at this time. Chair recognizes Carrie Burke.
Good evening, Carrie Burke. I have 4 items. The first most pressing item is the fire station in Pescadero mitigation measure resolution that the board adopted a week or so ago without bringing that back to the AAC. I believe at a previous meeting, because of the requirement to have the replacement of prime soils, it was expressly asked that the Agriculture Advisory Board review whatever mitigation was going to be found, since the it's very difficult to find virgin prime soils in the region of the high school property. And so just that, trying to follow up with the planning department, but I do believe that also the agricultural advisory committee was very vocal about wanting just to be a part of that, since they were obviously a party to reviewing the project on prime soils, and that the mitigation measure, this was the one that they were most worried about. And but apparently the coastal commissions approved it, the boards approved it, and they found property that I think has already been farmed, but is in Pescadero, owned by Post, but that we as the taxpayers get to buy an easement for property that's already been farmed and pays nominal property tax. So that's a concern.
Great, thank you. To that point, we did in fact write a letter as a committee to the county, asking them to come back to us to help them, or at least allow us to give input on the mitigation property.
Okay, so that needs to still be done since it didn't happen. And so before I lose all my time, also, I understand that there's going to be some changes to the well ordinance. And so I think that because it was the only water source for rural properties, I think it'd be really, and obviously then on some PAD properties, that hopefully environmental health could outline those changes to the agriculture advisory committee. Thirdly and fourthly, I have brought this up before, but it would be really great if we could get an update on the farm labor task force about the improvements that have been made. I know that there is this funding that's available for the loan program, but also, and then Steve Monowitz made the presentation that there would be hopefully an expedited process of a CDX, but we haven't heard anything else. And I know I thought it would be phenomenal if you can do it, you know, in a month. So I'm hoping we can hear more about that also. Thank you. To the wire.
Thank you. You're okay. Just to clarify, when you said that it needs to make sure that it gets done regarding the letter, when we sent it to the county, what are you're referring
Well,
to? The county needs to come back to us and seek our input. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's done.
Yes.
I mean, as far as I know, I mean, I think that there's still, I mean, I don't know whether they've written the check of $405,000 to Post.
Right.
But I mean, I think I recall, if you can find in your archives, that you did make the request that you bring back that information to say, just ask what happened, you know, does this property really meet the intent of that mitigation measure? I mean, it's just a matter of, I know that at the workshop, you were really concerned just about the force and intent of your, you know, of the volunteer time that you put in, that you're heard. And so it's, you know, it's just a way to reach out and remind them that you do want to be heard, because perhaps you could have somehow gotten a better deal, or Post might have, since they had paid $770 a year in taxes on that parcel, maybe they could have actually not required them to purchase the easement and maybe allowed that portion to be given to the county. Who knows? But I mean, I think there could have been a better deal made.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that, because in fact, yes, we wrote a letter, brought it to the committee made changes, changed the letter, brought it back over the course of 3 meetings, brought the letter, and then I sent it to the county on behalf of the committee, asking that we be at least be allowed to, or not allowed, but do our job to give input. And that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's been part and parcel with a lot of the difficulties. So
That's just something
I appreciate
that would be some of the input as a member of the public that I would have liked to give it.
yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. Public, yes. Public comment, anyone else to address the committee on? Yeah, no, BJ, I hear you. I just want to read the sentence out. On any matter not on the agenda, I'm supposed to just to remind. Go ahead.
Just to follow up with Carrie, I think also the public should have known when they're spending public funds, they're spending $405,000. And I understand it should have been roughly around $100,000. So they're spending our money without us knowing what they're doing. And I think it's really, unprofessional of them to do what they've done. They've been playing a game with that piece of property and the firehouse and the water and all that for a long time, and then they just snuck it through. We've asked them where this land is. They didn't want to tell us. That's public information. They should have told us what's going on. But unfortunately they didn't, and now this comes out. So anyway, that's my comment.
Thank you very much. Public comment, anyone else, on the public to address the committee or an item not on the agenda? Okay. Vince, the chair recognizes Vince Fontana? No, it's important that you're heard. I'll repeat for the record, the chair recognizes Vince Fontana. Vince, can you come a little closer? I'm so sorry, no, the mic can hear you. Thank you.
Taxpayer has nothing to say with the money that is being taken from us and being spent. I think that somehow this has to be adjusted, and it's not adjusted here. It should be adjusted in the county. How does an organization in these agencies seem very comfortable, taking our tax dollars and squandering them around the country like nothing? Fact is, all we're asking for is what you're doing, how you're doing, and why you're spending this much. That's not too much to ask if you're paying the bill, and we're all paying the bill. What's disturbing to me is, the fact is, if we're getting taxed constantly. If we're going to spend money foolishly, put it back on our pockets, and we can spend it foolishly. I mean, we're not talking a few $100, a few $1,000. It's $1 million. And the fact is, with the land that's coming off of our tax rolls, there's no way in the world that it's not going to come back on us when we take property. The property owners of this county are getting penalized left and right. And the thing is, somehow, and I expect the county, some leadership in the county should step up. Or someone in the county that's working, they've got to have some integrity, say, what we're doing here. The fact is, like BJ says, you're spending our money, and when we ask for information, they won't even give it to us. That's a heck of a way for a taxpayer to be respected.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Vince. The chair recognizes Carrie Burke.
Just that it was on the agenda of the board, and just that, usually I review it. Sometimes I missed it, but it was on the board's agenda. But, I think as a courtesy, especially since the committee took a lot of time to write the letter, that it should have been notified that of the action that they were proposing and get your input.
Absolutely. Thank you. The chair recognizes BJ Byrne.
Comment on that. It
Yes.
was on the board agenda. It was on the consent calendar. It went right through. Nobody said a word. None of the 5 board of supervisors supposedly didn't pick that up. And it went right through. So why they didn't, after spending that kind of money and not question that, something don't smell right there.
Thank you, BJ Burns. And to the committee's point, this AAC committee, that's one of many things that we voted, moved and seconded, be brought back to our committee. And we've agendized per the bylaws, section 4.6, which clearly states that the AAC committee is to prepare the agenda. However, those bylaws have been violated by the county for at least the last year since I've been the chair, and a fact that we've been prohibited from doing so. And worse, when we vote to agendize an item, it's been unilaterally taken off of the agenda. So I appreciate the members of the public being here and speaking up and helping us, because we're here to help you and we want to work together because we care about this and this coast-side. The chair recognizes Ron Sturgeon.
Ron Sturgeon speaking, and it's my understanding that the Board of Supervisors just approved the whole deal in concept, and it may take some time before it's finalized. And it might be appropriate for the committee to write another letter on asking it to asking for the issues that you've raised, that have been raised, to come back to the board or the committee, before, they move forward on what was approved in concept. I have a concern that public funding may have gone to acquire the same land interests if this goes through twice.
Conservation
It's not, it wouldn't be the first time. But I
on that
think,
piece of ground.
Hmm?
On that piece of
Yeah.
ground.
no, well, it wouldn't be the first time in the history. But, yeah, I think that the board should inquire, the committee should inquire as to, what is actually going on there.
Can we, I think we need to agendize this to be able to write a letter as a follow-up letter to the board about what's transpired regarding that piece of property in that parcel. So I'd like to add that to today's agenda, to agendize that. The chair recognizes Corin Whittle.
Oh, I was on raising.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you did. Any other member of the public? The chair recognizes Lucy White. I'm sorry, Lucy.
Sorry, so, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife is, has submitted a petition to get the mountain lion on, it is not the endangered species list, it's the ESU or the DPS, so that is the, okay, evolutionary, specific units, and the other one is the distinct population segments, of these things. So they even in their document, which is very long and difficult to read through, it concludes that they did not meet the ESU in 2020, and so they've come back with the DPS, and both of them, the ESU would take 38% of California and put it under their authority. And so they essentially, the depredation permits and some of the land uses, like they would want to review things, like planning wanted to develop something, they would consider themselves and put there. So it's really a random power grab, and it's very deceitful because they are saying that the population is 4,172 in California. I think that was an average between the little somethings. But in 1989, their population was, and I forget the first number, but I think it was 4,200 to 5,700. And then that was 1989. And then if you look at newspaper articles from 2016 to 23 is the last one I found that actually put the date in. They say the population is 4,000 to 6,000 for years and years and years. And their other population study originally was like 600, and then in 20 years it was 2,400, and then in 13 years it was 4,800. And that was all during the time of massive depredations. And so there's no way that this population is less than 1989. So I think that the document and the petition should be knocked out, like, without, it's not based on any factual information. And it also only focuses on the mountain lion. They want to do this for the mountain lion, but it doesn't take any concern about agriculture and effects here. And I know for a fact, through Vince and some other things, that they don't report the depredations. I'm sorry, the predations of the lion kills of the cattle. And, in Vince's case, there's 15 and not one of them are on their books as a mountain lion kill, even though 2 of them, they visited the sites, and 2 of them actually got depredation permits, but in their documentation, they don't say kills. There's no, they have no data on kills by mountain lions. And the other ranchers are too afraid to speak, and so, there's literally no data. And then the endangerment of people on the trails, they, are putting trails through all of the ag land, which is against the guiding documents. And it's just getting exponentially worse. Every time they take an inch, they go 10 miles, and they're planning.
Time check.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, time check.
Okay,
Sorry.
is it over?
You can finish the sentence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
the problem, huge problem is the Highway 17. It's costing about 40 million now. The one in Los Angeles was $90 million. And I think it's 6 or 7 more that they want in these areas. So it's a humongous thing. It's not, and it's really they don't care about the mountain lion. Otherwise they would control the population, because they're just letting it, all the deer and wildlife are gone because there's too many mountain lions. So that's basically that's it. But anybody, on Thursday is the meeting. So supposedly conclusionary
Thank you.
Where's the meeting?
in Sacramento.
Is it on Zoom?
Yeah, it is. Oh,
Do you have, after the meeting, can people get the info from you? And then for anyone who doesn't have your email address or it's too late to submit, but they can talk to you about different things for the meeting. Is
well,
that correct?
anytime, I mean, you're always welcome to anything. But, I'm fighting for agriculture and the ranchers and the public. This is so endangering these trails and the mountain lions. They don't have their prey. The deer are gone, and so they, if you eat bobcats or even coyotes or something, you have to eat more of those to equal the one deer. So then they go for the cattle.
Thank you.
Well, and cow and goats and llamas and donkeys.
I'm so sorry. I have to go by
That's
the
okay.
time. Thank
That's
you,
okay.
though. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lucy. Anybody else, member of the public, to address the committee on an item not on the agenda? No? Okay. Committee member updates and our questions to allow committee members to share news and or concerns for items not on the agenda for committee members. Chair recognizes Crystal Shea.
I just want to bring it out that we are looking for sponsors and golfers for the golf tournament in June. If any farms or ranches want to sponsor a foursome of golfers and go out on the course for a day, it's a fun event. It's a delicious dinner afterwards. And you can come to me if you have any questions or are interested.
What's the date?
June 17th.
It's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday. It'll be lunch and golf out down at golf course, and then dinner at the PCC.
I don't think they're doing Jello shots anymore.
No.
No, you don't get that. I have my little. I
Inside
have my,
joke.
my
Inside
bar
joke.
set up on 17.
Thank you. Anything else, Crystal?
That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Those
you.
are good memory.
Fun time.
So, the chair recognizes Corin Whittle.
So, short and sweet, we are having our field worker, training workshop, March 4th and 5th. And, so we will be sending out reminders to all their growers. But so please send your staff if they need the training. And then also we're doing a pesticide disposal event. It should be at the beginning of March, and we're accepting applications, and we wanted inventories of the pesticides that people had wanted to dispose of, and that we asked for that by last Friday. But if you still need to sign up, please let us know ASAP, because we'll get you in there. But that's all I have.
Corin, do you have the Lee and Sons that used to be Terra Farms, I believe, the mushroom farm. Is there any report on the gnat situation with that, where we are with that?
So the gnats, as far as Lee and Sons,
Yes.
okay,
That-
so there's different operations.
Okay, I know I'm specifically mentioning them because I know that they were here before in front of the AAC,
Mhm.
and we had agendized for them to come back to give us information on the waste disposal. And again,
Yeah,
it
okay,
was unilaterally taken off the agenda, even though we voted to put it on. And now, a few months later, what we're seeing, and I apologize, I'll just say this really fast, is what we're seeing is on North Street in Pescadero, there are so many gnats that that they
Okay.
are encompassing the area. Children at the high school are getting gnats from the Highway 92. And so I want to put back on the agenda to have them come back so we can discuss the disposal of the waste because it needs to be taken care of. Yeah, so that's what I'm
Okay.
thinking. Yeah.
So kind of around that time, we did receive increase in complaints. We do get perennial complaints about gnats in that area. And so we have investigated it. And the gnats, they're fungus gnats. They're not biting humans, they're not spreading disease. They're generally considered a nuisance. We did, my department, along with planning and building, and then also environmental health, is working with the operation and looking at their practices to confirm that they're in compliance.
Okay.
And hopefully those practices will mitigate the population, should that be the
Okay,
case. Yeah.
thank you. Is there any
That's
way you
kinda-
could bring over some sort of like to the next?
Yeah,
meeting?
well, because it's ongoing,
Okay.
and so it's hard to say at this point exactly, give a report out on that.
Okay. So when it's over, you'll have a report, a final report, or is that something that might not come to fruition?
Well, typically that's not the case, but I can follow up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, committee members and, any other committee members with, updates or questions for items not on the agenda?
Sure. Mike, you sent this, can you maybe explain? I'm gonna have to post this.
The chair recognizes Mike O'Neill,
I'm,
handed out a
Ray's
flyer.
starting to have me go down there, one day a week, and I went down there today. And I never saw a newsletter there before, so I just grabbed a stack, that's out, that's all. It's just his monthly newsletter he tries to put out, which doesn't come every month, but, it was a printed version. I thought I was coming to you guys, and some of you don't have email, pass it out.
Thank you very much.
That's all.
Thank you. Any other committee member with the item not on the agenda? The chair recognizes Peter Markey.
I just want to echo on saying about the issue. When the project came to our committee, we had a lot of questions, and we felt we were rushed through that project a little bit, and we had follow-up questions that we wanted to follow up on that did not come to our committee, and about the waste. And here, now we're having a gnat problem. The other thing I wanted to talk about is echo on what everybody else was saying, as far as the finding the land for the fire department. It was told to us that they were gonna find prime ag land that's never been used. And then here we learned that something was done differently. And it just feels like we've been told one thing continuously and something else is continuously happening differently. So.
Thank you. The problem is that I think at the retreat, we were given presentations about respect. I think it is high on the list of disrespect to have a committee come volunteer their time and get their input and say that, yes, we'll bring the people back the next meeting, and then unilaterally take them off the agenda. And I think more so it hurts agriculture on the San Mateo County coast and what we're trying to do. Is there anyone else, committee member with something not on the agenda? Okay, I had a couple things. One actually left. The first one was the gnats. So I'd like the following statement be written into the record. And Robbie, as a liaison, I'll give you it in writing, a copy, so you can have it from the minutes. I'd like to please note for the past year, the AAC has been, and this is regarding the bylaws. I just want to make a note of this because it's important for people to know that for the past year, the AAC has been prohibited from preparing an agenda. Why does this matter? It matters because the AAC is the ones who are supposed to prepare the agenda per the bylaws. The agenda instead has been unilaterally prepared by the county. Okay. Section 4.6 of the AAC bylaws states in the first two sentences, the AAC shall prepare an agenda for every meeting, which shall set forth a brief general description of each item of business to be transacted or discussed at the meeting and the time and location of the meeting. The chair or vice chair of the AAC, in conjunction with persons from other governmental agencies as may be required, shall prepare an agenda for the upcoming meeting. As I mentioned, for the past year, that hasn't occurred. Instead, the county has unilaterally prepared the agenda themselves without our input. And when we've given input or voted to have it agendized, it's been unilaterally taken away. Items have been moved, seconded, and passed by the Agriculture Advisory Committee here to be agendized. Yet once agendized by us, they have been unilaterally removed without our knowledge or input. For this meeting, for the first time, for this particular meeting, in at least a year, the chair and vice chair were allowed to meet with the governmental agency and in conjunction prepare an agenda, the first time in at least a year, in violation of the bylaws. And we did in effect state items that you all in this committee voted to agendize, and we put that into the agenda. However, a week later and a few days ago, we received notice that the agenda we created for the bylaws would no longer be the agenda for tonight's meeting. And there was nothing we could do about it. Again, additionally, another item was unilaterally put into its place. Also, not in conjunction with the AAC and what we said to be on the agenda per the bylaws. As a matter of fact, against what we had wanted. Tonight, the county intends to present some addendums to our bylaws they alone, without our input, have unilaterally created, basically putting into place the violations that they have been doing for at least a year. It is not okay to violate bylaws and then change them to meet these violations so one can then make it okay. The AAC committee, since its inception in the late 1970s, was founded to preserve agriculture on the San Mateo County coast. These bylaws allow us to do that. These bylaws are our voice. And so I'm asking members of the public and thanking you for being here and asking you to please continue to come because it helps us to be able to be your voice and you can help us to be able to do what you need us to do. Anyone else with a public comment to allow, committee member for questions not on the agenda or concerns? No? Okay. The planning and building director's report.
Yes, good evening. I'm Robbie Miller, planning liaison. Let's see, for the time period between December 18th and 2025 and January 27th, 2026, there were no PAD applications heard or considered by the Board of Supervisors or the Planning Commission. Upcoming planned agricultural district permits during this time period, there were none. And there was one coastal development exemption permit that was received and approved by the planning division during this time period at 0 Willowside Ranch Road to drill an agricultural well to support future agricultural operations. 7 locations have been identified. Only one well will be operative once water is found. And that was received December 19th and approved December 23rd. Let's see, I sent out a memo regarding the new state law SB 707. Coincidentally, that would potentially allow members to participate remotely. And actually, the whole committee could participate remotely if that was your decision. However, we know we've talked about this many times already in the last few meetings, and the position from county is to continue to hold in-person meetings for members and hybrid for applicants and the public. But what it does say in that memo also is that they essentially, if you get approved, the Board of Supervisor has to approve that. So and they have to renew it every 6 months. So essentially we have every 6 months to kind of bring that forward if we want that opportunity to be remote. And then let's see. I can only take clarifying questions on that because I didn't necessarily put that on the agenda. But if you have other questions, you can email me about that. Another announcement, March 9th meeting will be at the Half Moon Bay Library. Okay, so I'll send out maybe another email about that.
Okay, hold on, Rob, the bylaws say that it's the AAC committee that makes the location of the meeting. So instead of giving the directive, I wouldn't want the AAC committee to vote on if in fact that's where they should have it.
So
Just to
and
hear.
my understanding, we've looked at trying to get another location. That was kind of the direction that I got from the committee. And so we're just following through with trying to look at other locations.
Right, but they did mention they'd like to look at another location, but instead of giving the directive that it will in fact be at the library, I think since it says on the bylaws that the committee determines the location of the meeting, then I want to make sure we adhere to that.
So the bylaws are 20 years old.
Yeah, but there's still the
ways
current,
that-
it doesn't matter, there's still the current bylaws. That's like saying this constitution is
It's
old.
like bringing up the bylaws now, it's almost.
It
like
doesn't
that.
matter, legally, they're the current
Another
bylaws.
location.
But that's what we need to discuss, and it's not up to me, it's up to the committee, because the bylaws are to be adhered to.
Is it just March 9th because this room is not available, or are you thinking
Right.
as of March 9th moving forward?
I
just want to clarify.
So it's set up, so my understanding is that we could, if we like it, we could continue to be there if we wanted to.
Okay.
So, but I think it's worth at least trying it out. And like we did at Mike.
I don't think that,
office.
I don't think anyone's opposed to trying it out. But I think it's something we need to bring up for discussion, because in adherence to the bylaws and in, cooperation with, the respect and everything else that we all talked about is, but mostly in adherence with the current bylaws, is that we all decide where it will be. So would it be appropriate then to discuss it now or agendize it, Peter?
Exactly what I was asked.
Can we, vote on it for next meeting now, or do we have to put it on the agenda to, for next meeting to vote on it? As
We could agendize it as new business now, I believe.
But we can't vote on it tonight.
Yeah, under new business, we can,
We
I
can.
believe, yes. So, and I think that's important to do. The chair recognizes Cole, Mazaragias, and Anastasia.
Yeah, no, I would motion that we were, because I think from my understanding is most folks were open to the library as a trial. So it seems like it'd be worth us voting for it tonight as new business.
I think so
I
too.
don't know if anyone seconds that, but it makes it just good.
And I think it'd be lovely to have it there, but it just needs
Yeah.
to be,
I agree too,
but it needs to be voted because we need to adhere to the rules. Because why do we have them?
The
So-
only reason I question it is because the way it was presented was like, maybe this room was not available, so just next month.
No,
I just
that-
wanted to make sure
That was good
moving
clarification.
forward, every month it's at the library.
No, that was excellent clarification. So, so do we have a motion?
She made a
I
motion.
second it.
Okay, so, for the record, Cole, thank you. Cole Mazaragos, Anastasio moved that we have it at the library.
Right through the chair.
Yes,
If you want to add it to the agenda tonight, is that's what, you don't need to vote, like, you can make that, if you want to do that, you can just add it to the end of the agenda.
as new business at the end of the agenda.
If that's-
Okay, so you're
So
saying not
you already have another, this is the second that you want to add as new
Yes.
business to the
Okay.
end of the agenda.
Okay,
Okay.
yes, okay, thank you for clarifying that. We'll do it.
wait.
We'll wait till new business is at the end, is that correct? Or
Yes.
Ron, I might have to defer to your expertise.
It's a good idea.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
All right.
it looks like you have Brian on the.
Yes, good evening, committee. Nice to be with you. I just want to clarify that the agenda is set for the night, right? So there is the Brown Act requires that you only act on things that are on the agenda. There are specific exceptions for the ability to respond briefly to public comment, ask questions, ask that an item be added to a future agenda, etc. But I just wanted to clarify that there is not a there's not a catch-all at the end of the agenda to add things. The agenda is what the agenda is, and those are the items that you'll be taking up today.
Okay, so then, let me ask you two questions clarifying. If in effect, an item and its contents were not put into the, on the website 72 hours prior per the Brown Act, can it still be discussed?
So, Madam Chair, so as I said, there are exceptions to the agenda requirement. So there are certain things. Like I said, you can briefly respond to questions from the public. You can provide reference material. You can ask that something be added to a future agenda. But you can't add things. You can't add action items to
I
the.
understood that. Thank you. I understood that. But my question was, can something be presented if in fact it's not on the website 72 hours in advance for the Brown Act?
Sorry, could you clarify what item you're referring to?
Okay, so, the item would be, well, I can bring this up when we get to it, so I'm not going out of
So
line.
through the chair, I've asked him this exact question that I think you're gonna ask him
Yes,
about the summary.
yes, the summary.
Yeah, so Brian, Natalie is referring to item 9 for the retreat, January retreat item. And
Yes.
I asked you about I sent them an email about the workshop summary that the consultant sent. So
Yes.
I sent that. So she's, if I'm mistaken, she's referring to that being sent out without being posted. So I can post that.
Well, it wasn't posted on the website 72
Yes.
hours in advance because of Brown Act,
Yes.
but can it still be presented? Because Robbie was gonna present it tonight. I just wanted to be sure that you were there.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm just
I'm
bringing
familiar
it
with this
up.
question.
Yeah.
And I did speak to Robbie about it. The item has been agendized, so the document does not need to be posted 72 hours in advance. The item has to be identified in an agenda that is posted
Thank
72
you.
hours in advance. So the item
Okay.
has been identified and that document can be discussed within the context of that item, which has been
Okay.
agendized.
Okay, so for the library, to go back to that, so we'll go ahead and add, we can add that to the agenda for new business for discussion at the next meeting. So we'll have the next meeting here, and then the next meeting we'll discuss and vote to have it at the library. Is that correct? Because we can't do it now?
So just to clarify, so what the bylaws say is that the regular meetings of the AAC shall be set by resolution. And so what the Brown Act requires is only that it be identified in the agenda. So the Brown Act allows an advisory body to set its regular meeting location through.
No, I'm saying about about having the meeting at the library, and we were voting on it, and we had a motion and we had a second, and then we were gonna vote to, on that. Is that something we can do now? So we can get that in place for the next meeting, or do we have to put it on new business for the next meeting first?
So it's unnecessary to take a vote on it today. I think in the context of Robbie's presentation, I think if the committee has a concern about the meeting being held at that location, that can be discussed now, but otherwise it can be identified in the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, so then we need a place for the next meeting. So we'll have to have it here, and then we'll have to discuss it, and then have it either at the library or somewhere else. Unless there's you know.
Can we discuss?
Can we discuss it?
Wait,
Because the problem is, Brian, the problem is,
Yeah.
we were given the directive that it's gonna be at the library. The bylaws, which I know you're familiar with, obviously, says that it is in fact the AAC that determines the time and the location of the meeting. So in order for the AAC to do that, then can we discuss it now to do that? Since Brian, Robbie's talking about the next meeting, or do we have to wait and put that on agenda for next meeting?
Right. So just to clarify, the procedural rules of the AAC, and I know you're gonna have a chance to talk about them later tonight. Those are rules. They're not law. They are the rules that the AAC imposes on itself for the procedures of its meetings. The Brown Act allows a body like yours to identify the location of a regular meeting in the agenda. That's all that's required. So the regular meeting location, if it's going to change, it can be done in the agenda. As I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Robbie, but you were reporting that the planning department intends that the next meeting would be identified in the agenda at a different location?
Yes.
Okay. So if the
He
AAC,
was
so if there's a
reporting it was
concern about that, you can take that up now, but you don't have to have a motion to do anything about that. If there's concern, you can discuss that now and raise that
Okay,
with
and just
planning
for a
staff.
point of reference, it's not in the Brown Act, it may be, but it is in effect in the bylaws and the procedural rules. That's where it is, and that's where I'm referencing it.
Right. So
We can discuss it.
Act is the law. So the Brown Act is the state law that requires
I
that the
know.
location be identified in the agenda 72 hours in advance. And if the committee has concerns about the next meeting being held at the location that planning staff has identified, you can discuss that now and
Okay.
address that if there's a concern.
Thank you. I was just pointing out where I saw it. It's in the bylaws that you guys sent us. So having said that, so we have a motion on the floor to have at the library, and we have a second. So discussion.
I think it's a great place.
Let's try it
No
out.
concern. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
in favor of us trying it out.
Let's
Okay.
try it out.
So
Right.
one of the things, what time does the library close?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, but we have until 8:15 as a hard stop.
Okay, so I think that might be a point of contention. So thank you for the information. Discussion?
The advantage. You'd
That's-
say
make it
on
work,
task
yeah.
and make it work.
Maybe it will be a little tighter.
I think 8:15 is not long, 2.5 hours is not long enough for some items. Some items require more discussion. So what would we do in that case? Do we move it to a different location, if there are,
I
I
mean,
mean, and who's to determine that?
during that meeting, or you're saying or table the items to the following meeting?
I don't think tabling items have not worked well.
No,
for-
they have not,
So,
and that's a violation.
so if you are in charge, if
Yeah.
the chair determines where the meeting will be.
Well, the
um,
committee determines, yeah, as a whole, where it will be.
Then if you're determining the agenda and you see an item that will give us concern, like somebody wants to build a house on prime soils, silly, but it's come.
Not silly.
It's come.
It's come.
You know that item might take longer than some other items. So would it be up to you to determine
Well, it
an
is,
alternative place to in Princeton, if there's going to be, or we just have one item on the agenda and that one,
right, I understand what you're saying.
do you see what I'm saying? If we have
Yeah.
to be out by 8:15, then is it that one item that's might take up 2 hours?
Right, I understand what you're saying. Exactly. So, yeah,
So through the
Ryan.
chair,
yeah.
Ryan.
8:15 is basically what we have now.
Right.
Like I fill this
And
room.
we've had to,
We've ran out of time before it's caused problems. So if we're gonna be limited on a heavy agenda evening, we're trying to figure out a solution ahead of time.
Yeah.
So we're not caught in that, because clearly tabling our items doesn't work.
Correct.
Mhm.
The chair recognizes Ryan Casey.
We've discussed previously, a couple things. One is that this group needs to be more efficient in keeping time in these meetings. And I think having a stop time would be good. I know personally, I would not like to go much later than 8, and I think my participation would probably dwindle if meetings were going past 8. We've also talked about the chair and county staff creating an agenda where if they see these heavy items that are going to need more discussion time, and leaving the rest of the agenda light. So I think we can do it by 8. I think you all just need to be smart about what is going on that agenda. If you see something that's going to require a lot of discussion.
I think the county needs to adhere to the bylaws and allow the conjunction with the chair and the vice chair so that we can be heard, so that can happen. Yes. Anybody else with the discussion on this?
Yeah, and I guess.
John, the chair recognizes John Morris, just for the record, I want to say your name.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I know that the track record in this moment seems rather disappointing in terms of the county coming back with putting agenda items on for the following week or continuing discussion as we had requested in the past. But it'd be my hope that if we were able to make our meetings more efficient and more respectful and kind of on task, then the county will be able to work with us more consistently and hopefully, know that if they put this item on the agenda the following week, it won't necessarily just be an opportunity to repeat all the same questions that we, talked about the previous week, and that there are reasons why we might, they would be getting good information from us that would potentially change the outcome. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of putting a plug in for the effort to work with the county and make these meetings as effective as possible.
I appreciate that, John. You do realize though that this happened about 5 days ago. And we did in fact hope, as you did, that it would change, and it just hasn't. So we will continue to be hopeful, but at the same time, we're also going to have to adhere to the bylaws and vote accordingly so that we protect agriculture here. The chair recognizes Marilyn Johnson.
if you are as a committee going to be making the agenda, I would agree with Ryan that you make it light. You can read what's proposed what applications are coming through and look through and say, that's gonna, I see some things here we're gonna want to discuss. So if in fact you will be able to do the
If in
agenda,
fact, yes,
then I would agree with Ryan that
yes,
it makes sense to
absolutely.
make a compromise and not be here till 11 o'clock at night.
Okay,
Um,
so are you saying that you're okay with the library now, giving it a try and ending at 8:15, or what's
If-
your?
if
Yeah.
you're allowed to
Right.
do the agenda
Okay.
and make it light if you see something
Okay,
that you know is going to require a lot of discussion.
well, I appreciate that, and I certainly hope that we will be. able
Yeah,
to,
I hope so
because
too.
it's definitely, Ryan, I agree with you too. It's definitely been what we've been trying to do. So the chair recognizes Ron Sturgeon.
Sturgeon, I think this is an action item and should be agendized before we can take action. But I also want to point out that this committee used to meet regularly at the Johnston Ranch on
The train depot.
That's exactly what I
Yeah.
just pulled up, like. to see
and
if
the
they're-
time parameters wouldn't be the concern that it is in this room or the library. I've been before this committee many times when it's gone past 10 o'clock. In bygone years and sometimes even longer. And when you had your retreat, you expressed your values to one another. And I'm almost certain that everyone around this table is concerned about the preservation of agriculture. And if time is a constraint, if you can't one day a month, show up and do the business of this committee, no matter how long it takes, I think that you're just not doing the service to the county or the committee.
Well, I think that I personally, I totally agree with Marilyn, and I totally respect what Ryan's saying too. I respect what you said about making it an action item. So, but if in fact we do make it an action item, and that means we would vote on it, because it seems like we have some differing views on that, then we'd have to put it on next month's agenda. And so if we do that, we still have to have a place for next month's meeting. So in the interim, we would have to have it here and then we'll vote on it at the next meeting. We'll continue discussion, which I appreciate. The input has been very good. I appreciate it. I think everybody appreciates it. And then we'll put it on we'll vote on it on the next, make it an action item for next month's agenda. The chair recognizes Crystal Shea.
So can we come to a compromise with the county this month and do the library next month? Try it out as a possible location. Keeping in mind that the county or the liaison and the chair will keep the agenda to a minimum. So we don't go over 8:15, but then we can bring other possible locations to the meeting to discuss.
I think it's a good idea, but I think before doing the library, I think we should do what I said, which is to have another meeting here and discuss it before we make any move, because the next meeting could be a very important meeting.
Well, that's why I said compromise with the county. Like, they want to do it at the library. We're in limbo. Let's just try it out as a possible and bring to the table other location possibilities.
Okay, the chair recognizes Peter Markey.
I agree with Vermont, just to be safe and sorry for procedures, is to put it on for next meeting as an action item. So therefore, we'll be in compliance by having it on the agenda, and we can vote on it next meeting where we want to have it and
Yeah.
try it out.
And it's not, and I want to be clear, it's
Just
not
to be
that we
safe
don't
and
want to
sorry.
work with you guys, but it was the county that actually changed and went against the rules and chose a location. So, and it, what's done is done, but we have to do by the rules. So if we can please we'll put it on, we'll meet here next meeting and we'll discuss it. and we'll vote. Okay, and I thank everyone for their input. The chair recognizes BJ Burns.
I think if you're gonna shorten the meeting, keep as short as you are, you should respect the applicants first. Because I've seen applicants sit here while you people go through this process you're going through. And then comes time for them to come up and they got 15 minutes left at 8 o'clock. You want to shut
Well,
it down.
Crystal,
And I've seen,
oh yeah, I'll go ahead,
I've
sorry.
seen 2 applicants come through here and slip through. They were supposed to come back and never did come back. So if you had spent another hour, you could have finished those and got it resolved before they left, and then they wouldn't have to come back. So I think it's unfair to the applicants if you guys want to go home early when there's important things to take care of for agriculture. That should be a priority. And I don't see that happening. It's too much discussion before the applicants get their time to explain their situation.
I think that's an excellent point. Crystal brought forth an excellent change of the agenda items, which we're going to address for the next meeting, change of the order that the agenda items are going to go. And yes, I think that's an excellent point. Thank you. Absolutely agree. Anybody else? The chair recognizes Warren Whittle.
So I don't want to really spend any more time on this because I think it's taken away from the other agenda items, but I will ask because I have personal experience of booking the library, which isn't easy. So is that the library available like into the future or?
Yeah, apparently,
Okay.
community room A.
Yeah, I know
Chair recognizes
Julie
Warren
Mills
Whittle.
used to be the librarian at Pacifica,
Okay.
and she has booked this for the entire year.
Okay.
I checked, there is a TV there, okay, for the Zoom link,
Okay.
and, you know, it's probably a little bit, it's probably bigger than this, you know,
All right.
and stuff. The one concern is if you do have a public meeting, it has to be ADA compatible. So you mentioned that Johnson, I mean, I've never been to it,
It's
so I don't know if it is or not, you know.
Yeah, hold up to 49 people in
Yeah.
the meeting.
The chair recognizes Carrie Burke, and then I want to let Robbie go back to his report because I know we got digressed. Go ahead.
I appreciate hearing everybody's information, but this cannot be known as a grievance committee. It has to be known as a partner with the county. So I think you have to meet them halfway and being a partner first and working towards where you want to go. Sometimes that's what you have to do. So, you know, I just think that that sometimes you don't always get what you want initially, but you know, this committee's been here a long time and working together, I think that's the bottom line. I think there's frustration on both ends of this partnership, which was discussed in the workshop. So I think, you know, you have to give a little bit to get the positive outcome that I think we're all putting our time towards, but yeah, it takes too long because we want to get on to the business.
Well, I think I appreciate that. Thank you. I think that's why we have the bylaws and the procedural rules, which the county in effect emailed to us. And if we follow them like we're supposed to, then we'll be able to be very succinct in the meetings. Robbie, I'm sorry we digressed from your director's report, but yeah, if we could, and then we'll do the action. If that's okay with all of you, we'll go ahead and make it an action item as was suggested. And since we couldn't agree on discussion, and we'll talk about the next meeting, and if it works out to go to the library, which I love, by the way, personally, but I want it to be everybody's decision.
Yeah, the director's report is, that's it. That was the last item.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the consideration of meeting minutes for December 8th, 2025 and January 12th, 2026. I believe that the minutes were going to be for December meeting remanded and brought back for vote. Do we have copies of those? Everybody has a copy of the minutes and had time to review them?
It was in the full agenda.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to that. Or motion to approve.
Okay, motion on the floor by Cole Mazziaga. Cole, I'm just throwing your name. You know Cole. And Crystal Shea. Do we have everybody in favor say aye?
Aye.
Opposed? And I abstain. Peter, I didn't hear it, aye or nay? Okay, so all ayes and one abstain. And that's for December 8th. Did everyone have a chance to read and review January 12th minutes? And do we have a motion to approve or disapprove? Or make corrections? For January 12th, 2020.
Motion to approve.
Okay, so we have a motion from Ryan Casey to approve. Do we have a second? A second from Cole Mazaragio, saying Asashio. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, so, abstain from John Bars, abstain from Natalie Zayer, and aye from the rest of the members. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 members approved. Is that correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So is that, that's not enough? We need 6, correct? Okay. So, Brian, since you're on the line, what do we do in a case like that? Okay, so what are they? They're just not approved. Okay, so the January 12th.
Why don't you wait for the attorney to answer?
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
So the meeting, sorry, the approval of the meeting minutes did not garner enough votes to pass?
Well, it was the January 12th, 2026 meeting minutes.
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear the result of the vote. It was that there wasn't enough aye votes
There's
for it to
5
pass.
ayes and 2 abstain.
Okay, so the motion did not pass, and you can take up the meeting minutes for that month at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Bobby, thank you for the meeting minutes. They're
Yeah.
much improved.
Yes.
Thank you.
They're much improved. Thank you very much. I noticed right away. I'm like, oh, I bet Robbie did these.
Yeah, they're
Really, they're much better.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, what is the quorum tonight? How many members are present?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, so it's a majority of those present. Sorry, the minutes passed.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
The continuation of the April 2025 Special Workshop Subcommittee, Summary K, it's an action item to vote on at the last meeting. If you want to pull up the slide for item K. And at the last meeting, the committee discussed the fact that they would like to take the mid-pen and the post from this item and separate it in terms of inviting them to the committee. And I'll give a review. So this was from the workshop of April of last year, water rights and land from the meeting. The current situation concern from meeting attendee. This is from a meeting attendee that attended the workshop meeting. So they had stated when Mid-Penn and Post came here, they vowed to support agriculture in our area and support its viability. They've turned their backs on agriculture. They have taken away water rights for irrigation, decreasing farm production. They are now leasing San Mateo County ag land to out-of-county residents, displacing farmers who live here and need land. That was the concern of the farmer that came to the workshop. And so we discussed a solution and a proposal with them. We are requesting that Mid-Penn and Post meet with the AAC separately to explain their policies and choosing tenants in hopes that a system can be created that prioritizes tax-paying San Mateo County residents first. How it preserves ag on the San Mateo County coast. From meeting attendees, farmers with a proven history of longevity farming here will be able to continue farming here as they will have access to water and land and won't be forced to leave. So at the last meeting, it was the committee brought up that they would like to take, that you guys said that you'd like to take, there was a discussion about inviting them at all. There was concern. taking out the wording of the first part from the farmer who had brought it up at the workshop because it seemed too adversarial. When we do invite them in the second bullet point, which is a solution and the proposal from the meeting attendee, it was suggested by you guys that we invite post and we invite mid-pen separately. And so I was told that we have to vote separately. So let's go ahead and do it. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to invite Mid-Pen to our meeting separately than post to discuss their policies.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, those opposed? Okay, great. Okay,
Pardon me through the chair. I don't believe you opened public comment and there are hands raised on Zoom for this item.
that's great. I can't see the hands raised on Zoom. So can you please let me know who they are?
Yes, I have Brian Malone. One second.
Okay. So Brian Malone from Mid-Pen, Open
Good
Space.
evening, Brian Malone, Assistant General Manager with the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District. I saw this was on the agenda, and I appreciate you taking off the first part. I would, very much disagree with that characterization. And we do both favor existing tenants and local tenants when we're making tenant selection, primarily for ranchers. But as I have done in the past, we would be happy to schedule something and come out and talk about our ag policy and how we how we do our leasing request for proposals. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. The person that was in the people, there was actually more than one. The attendees were concerned primarily wanting you to talk about how you get the tenants and how you your procedure for that. Is that something that you could come out and talk about? Thank you, by the way.
I think you mentioned that with request for proposal.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
Yeah,
I'm
so
sorry. I
anyway,
missed that.
So we could.
Okay, thank you.
We could agendize that.
All right, let's agendize it for the next meeting then? For the third one?
You have to send an invitation and ask them when they can come.
Right. Okay, yeah, of course, I'm sorry. Okay, so, and who else had their hand up? Thank you.
And with that, Madam Chair, there are no further comments on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next.
Before we
is there-
go next, just
yeah.
for clarification, so that I made a motion and then a second, and I'm assuming it passed to invite at two different dates, MRSD and post, to go over the policies, correct?
Yes, and so the next one would be for post, so we would invite them as well. So as far as who is inviting them, we created this in the subcommittee. So do we want to assign somebody from the committee that might be interested in doing that? Carrie Burke?
Just a word of caution, since you're worried about how long the meetings run. You might want to break out post and Mid-Pen into separate meetings because.
Oh, they're going to be.
Okay,
That's
that
what
wasn't really clear. Yeah, who you're offering what at what time, because you could have additional public input, so.
Yeah, we were gonna do it separately. Peter?
That's
who said-
why I made a motion in
Right.
that way.
I couldn't hear it.
Okay, and that's why I said it earlier, because I knew exactly what you said is correct, is with the amount of time, it's always enough time for one at each separate meeting.
Okay, yeah, and yeah, to make them separate. So do we have any discussion from the committee? Who would like to reach out, how we would like to reach out, what you intend, how you would like for this to happen?
I'd be happy to reach out to Brian and invite him. And
Okay.
get some possible dates and
Okay,
send it to you.
send it to me and
And
then
Robbie?
I will bring it to you, Robbie. Is that correct, when we meet to discuss the agenda? Okay. Peter?
Krista, I'll be happy to help you on that if you need some.
He's in my
Sorry.
computer already. on.
So Crystal said that she would be happy to reach out to the agencies
Uh-huh.
to get some dates when they're available.
Okay.
And then when we meet to put the agenda together,
Mhm.
then I could bring those dates to you. Is
Yeah.
that,
Sounds good.
okay? And then Peter's gonna help Crystal with that. Okay,
Just put it on.
Through the chair. Can we
yes.
do another vote after discussion just to formalize this one because we skipped public comment?
No, the midterm guy.
Right, but then we voted before,
You're supposed to get public comment before the vote.
just,
Okay, so, can we have a motion and a second, if applicable?
Yep.
Yes.
Make a motion. Come to our meeting and post at separate dates due to time constrictions to discuss their policies with us
Policies regarding,
regarding their tenants.
okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so it was moved by Peter Markey and seconded by Crystal Shea. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, and Crystal will reach out to them and Peter will help with that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, next is the January retreat. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I lost track. The AAC procedural rules amendments, introduction and discussion, presenters Summer Burleson, senior planner, San Mateo County Planning and Building Department. Summer, thanks for your patience.
Should I, what should I go? Should I get it?
It's up to you. It's up to you.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
I'm here, okay.
Not really. It's a little loud.
I'll try to speak louder. My name's Summer Burleson. I'm with the San Mateo County Planning and Building Department.
Do you want to come here, Summer? Okay. If you want, sure.
Don't bite too hard.
Angela Montez.
these are admin staff doing the Zoom hosting.
Very helpful.
Okay. So these are proposed amendments to the procedural rules for the San Mateo County Ag Advisory Committee. And the recommendation tonight, is to read and discuss the proposed amendments to the procedural rules pursuant to Rule 9B, and then continue the item to a future AAC meeting for approval of a resolution to adopt the amendments.
Did you say 9B?
9B, Rule 9B.
So does everyone have a copy of the bylaws in front of them, the current bylaws? If you
So
don't,
the
do you have
existing
copies?
bylaws was,
You're gonna do this.
no test. The existing bylaws was attachment A of the report. And then the proposed amendments is attachment B. I'm gonna go over some, of the highlights of the amendments. And then if there's any particular questions, I can pull up the actual, rules and we can look at them and what the changes are and track changes. But first, just a little bit of background on the establishment of the Ag Advisory Committee through section 6365 of the Planned Agricultural District zoning regulations. The Ag Advisory Committee was established through the Board of Supervisors with its primary goal or purpose to actively assist in the preservation of ag of the coastline by advice and recommendation to the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors to achieve the objectives of the PAD zoning district, the ag zoning district for the county. The procedural rules for the Ag Advisory Committee, the AAC is subject as an advisory committee in the county They're subject to the county's standing rules for boards, commissions, and advisory committees. And the standing rules for the county require that each county board, commission, and advisory committee adopt rules of procedure governing the conduct of meetings and necessary administrative matters related to that committee. And the procedural rules of the AAC were adopted in November 2004 and have not been amended since. State and county laws and procedures have changed over time since the AAC's procedural rules were adopted in 2004. And procedural rule 9B, as I mentioned, allows amendments to the procedural rules through majority vote after first conducting a meeting to read and discuss the amendments. And then the procedural rules must be reviewed and approved by the county attorney's office and filed with the clerk of the board of supervisors. The purpose of the amendments that are being proposed in the report and that we'll go through tonight are to update the procedural rules to align with changes in state and county laws and procedures to meet evolving needs of the Ag Advisory Committee and just to support the AAC's efficiency and effectiveness. And so I'm going to go through maybe a handful of the kind of key or highlighted amendments. Many of the amendments were kind of grammatical corrections, but some of the amendments worth noting is one, Rule 2B for members and Section 2.4 for length and limitation of terms. And we are proposing to add clarification that holdover service at the request of the county caused by the delays in appointment in appointing a replacement at the end of a member's service does not count towards the 12-year maximum length of service for that member. So if you've served your maximum duration of 12 years and we ask you to, if you can stay on until we can find a replacement, that's the clarification that we're proposing here. And that aligns with the county's standing rules for county boards, commissions, and advisory committees. And so that brings that into alignment with the county's rules. And then Rule 2B also for members, Section 2.6 for resignation. And it's the proposed amendment is adding that written notification for resignations be provided to the county liaison and the committee chair, in addition to the clerk of the board of supervisors, which is already stated in the procedural rules. And this would ensure meetings are not adversely affected and that proper steps are taken in a timely manner to fill vacant seats when they become vacated. There's a process on our side that we need to initiate to get advertisement out. And so to try to get that done as quickly as possible, that the county liaison and as well the committee chair be notified because it could affect quorums for meetings. And then Rule 3B for officers, proposal to add a secretary office that would prepare meeting minutes and any correspondences on behalf of the AAC to provide support to both the planning liaison, the chairperson, and the vice chairperson. And then amending the qualification to at least one of the positions of chairperson and vice chairperson having to be filled by a farmer or grower. So currently, the procedural rule states that both the chair and vice chair need to be of the farmer grower seat. And so the proposed amendment would be that at least one of those officer positions be a farmer or grower. And that would provide some opportunity for non-farmers, growers, members to serve as chair or vice chair.
That would change it. So a non-farmer grower could be chair, vice chair.
Yes. Yes. So it just opened the opportunity for other members to serve that position if they wish to. Let's see, Rule 3B as well for officers, amending the special duties of the chair and vice chair to assist in the preparation of meeting agendas in cooperation with county staff. So currently, the procedural rules state that the chair and vice chair prepare the meeting agendas. And so this would clarify that meeting agenda preparation should be a coordinated effort among both county staff as well as the chair and vice chair.
Does say, just a point of reference, it does say that in the second sentence of the current bylaws, that it is the chair and vice chair in conjunction with the county. So it does have the conjunction in there.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you. And then Rule 6B, conflict of interest policy, section 6.1, would eliminate, the proposed amendment is to eliminate the requirements to comply with the Political Reform Act of 1974 for filing disclosure, statements of disclosure, reporting investments, interest in real property, etc., which is a current bylaw or procedural rule that all members need to file those disclosure statements. And so the proposal would be to eliminate that requirement.
Years ago, that came across a committee that we had to file 700 form. And it was actually Ron Sturgeon that brought it to my attention. And he, I asked him to put it in writing. He put it in writing. I brought it to my attorney. My attorney said, yes, because we're an advisory committee, we do not have to. And the county ignored it, at least if I'm correct. BJ came across somebody from the PMAC that said they didn't have to. And then he kept questioning the county. And then they lifted her not having to according to law because we're advisory committee. So on its own merit of us being actually advisory committee, we didn't have to do it. So I don't think we have to make any action at all because by law, we didn't have to simply be an advisory committee.
That's correct. As an advisory committee, you do not have to file the Form 700. And so this would just clean that language up to make it clear because it's not relevant. And then, so those were the kind of the highlights that I had pulled out. Again, the recommendation is to read and discuss the proposed amendments tonight, and then continue the item to a future AAC meeting for approval of a resolution. And as I mentioned, attachment B had the proposed changes as shown as track changes to hopefully make it easier to see like what changes were actually being proposed. And so I have those available if you want to pull them up, if you have any specific, questions or want to go over any of the rules, I'm happy to do that.
I had a question. It says years ago, there was no time limit for the advisory committee. And because the Board of Supervisors had a time limit on them, they adopted to the advisory committee. Seeing we are advisory committee, is there by law a time restriction of 12 years or is it different?
I would potentially defer to Brian if you're aware. Brian, through the standing rules for the county, if there's a maximum term limit. I don't know if you caught that.
I'm checking right now. Yes, it is. Yes, the 12-year limit is in the standing rules of the board. That's where that comes from.
From the county's adopted standing rules for all
Correct.
committees. Okay.
And so basically, the county board adopt those rules to these advisory.
For all advisory committees, and yeah, it's not just an AAC specific thing. Correct. Thank you, Brian.
Sure thing.
So I just wanted to point out that that this is the amendments can be put into place if in fact we agree to do so. There does not have to be amendments done according to the first part that she read. I just wanted to reiterate that we can adopt the bylaws as is. I would be very concerned with section 4.6 of the meeting agendas, changing it to what you have, the county has here, the chair or vice chair of the AAC shall assist the planning liaison. So that means that all these applicants that we are now asking to come back and it's not happening, now we can say, okay, well, it needs to happen because the bylaws say it's gotta happen, or that we create the agenda in conjunction with, we can at least push for that or hope for that, as John said. And I like that idea that that can happen. I don't want to let go of that. But here, if we agree to adopt this, we're saying that we're just going to assist the liaison. So they then in fact will make the agenda on their own. And so I mean, if we want to do that, what's the point of us, as one member said to me once, of us even being here? Yeah.
Another thing too, for me to understand these changes, it would be best for me if the county could write the bylaws as written and then in red under each one.
That's what we
That's what they know.
I don't have that.
You don't have
Yeah,
that.
you do.
because You didn't
Keep
get
Just
that.
that paper.
Keep going.
You know, that's one of
So
the
it-
points of contention is a lot of people don't know that.
Right there.
Okay.
Because the county's not able to help.
He has,
Yeah, and it kind
Did
of
you find
should
it?
look like
I
flip
did.
on the screen.
When you
where
print
you
it,
can see.
and some of the printing black and white, it's like, that.
I didn't work on it.
yeah. John, go ahead.
No,
I'll let
you,
I
Okay,
appreciate,
the chair and Summer recognize John Bars.
Appreciate, especially your experience recently, feeling as though you're asking for things to be on the agenda, not showing up there. But I think that this change in the language, in my experience being on the committee, would really just kind of put into words what has always, in my experience, happened. Like when I was chair, I never actually wrote up an agenda and then like was responsible for sending it out. I don't know if that would be something that I'd want to put on to you
John, no,
necessarily.
wait a minute. No, that's not what I'm saying. What we're saying is the bylaws are the way it was supposed to be done in the old days, like 10, 15 years ago.
let him finish.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, my point is that in my experience, that as the chair, you were sort of assisting the county, like they were running by, hey, here's what we're going to put on it, and you are approving of it and giving your input on it, not necessarily because the way it was previously written is as though you as the chair are actually doing all the work, and then you're going to put it out there, and that's not my experience was
Well, just
actually happening.
what is written is not that the chair does it. It's that the AAC committee does it. And it's not, you had said what I want on the agenda. I want to be perfectly clear. It's not what I want. As a matter of fact, some things I didn't want. It's what you all voted for. And those are the things I brought to the county. It's what the AAC committee wants and you guys voted for. And there's been several things, including applicants. And those are important that we hold true, that continues 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. These bylaws were adhered to, and they never changed. And I know when you were the chair, John, it was done the way it's been done this past year, but it's supposed to be done where it is the AAC committee. And that's why when you all vote to have something agendized, it's really important it gets on there because you guys know the importance of, okay, looking at the waste disposal for the mushroom farm or whatever the item may be. And it's important that it goes on the agenda. And then the second line does say in conjunction with the county, but I think we get into some pretty murky waters when it's suddenly that we're being given directives as far as what's going to be on the agenda. Then it's like, okay, well, why are we here? Because basically those things are happening now, even though they're not supposed to be. Marilyn and then Crystal.
And Madam Chair, sorry, when you have a minute, I'd like to provide some legal context as well.
Okay, so, I think in the past, correct me if I'm wrong, BJ, but planning does know whose applications are coming through. As the chair, you don't.
Of course.
Right? So I think working in conjunction with, when you ask for something to be added to the agenda,
Absolutely.
I
coming together.
The old, yeah,
And planning together.
yeah, planning together, but that would be ideal, right? And that's what the bylaws,
Well, that's what they currently say.
yeah.
And that's why we want to keep them as they are. But this is changing it to the chair or vice chair shall assist the liaison.
But you just, that might be just an approval or saying, no, we don't want to talk about that, but we wanted to add this, or what happened to this, we tabled and.
Well, right now, everything that's come before our committee that we voted on to be agendized, at least 60 to 70% of it has not been agendized, or it's been pulled from what
Right,
you all
I
wanted.
understand.
And so this will take it away completely. At least now we can defer to this and say, look, we're supposed to have a say in this. And the problem is we're seeing repercussions of that in our agriculture community.
Yeah.
So that's the concern. But Crystal.
Let Brian go first.
Brian?
Yeah, so just to provide some legal context, if you could keep that the shared screen up, I just wanted to clarify. So I did have a chance to review these bylaws and the proposed revisions, and I think Summer did a good job of explaining this, but I want to emphasize what the bylaws currently say, and I didn't catch which commissioner said this, but it was accurate. What it currently says is that the chair and vice chair, one of their jobs is to prepare agendas for the meeting, right? So it suggests that the chair and the vice chair are actually preparing the agenda. And it doesn't say in cooperation with county staff. It says in cooperation with such other persons from other governmental agencies. So it doesn't say that there's any sort of collaboration between the chair and planning staff. It's talking about other governmental agencies. And so the purpose of these proposed changes is to make them consistent with actual practice, which is, as another committee member said, there's, as a practical matter, no way for the chair or the vice chair on their own to prepare the agenda, right? They don't know which items are coming. They don't know the timeline for them. They don't know the board's direction necessarily on when things need to be heard. And so there has to be some back and forth between the chair and staff. And so it's within your discretion to come up with whatever language you think is appropriate. If you think that the assist preparation language doesn't provide sort of enough sort of emphasis on the chair's prerogative to, forcefully work with staff to make sure that those items that are important to the committee show up on the agenda. You can work with that language and massage it and make it consistent with what you want it to say. But I would recommend that you have the language reflect what the actual practice is, which is true for really any public body. There has to be collaboration between the chair and the staff about when items are heard and when staff is prepared to present them. And so I would recommend that, or I would advise that the current language does not reflect that. And I would recommend that you come up with something to reflect actual practice.
Brian, I do have a question for you though. First of all, it doesn't say the chair does anything because the chair does not want to force anything, at least while I'm chair. I don't know if anybody else wants to when they become, or they want to be chair or when they're chair, but it actually says the AAC shall prepare an agenda for every meeting, the AAC, meaning the whole committee, which shall set forth a brief general description of each item of business to be transacted or discussed at the meeting and the time and location of the meeting. So that's the first sentence. So it says the AAC meeting as a whole. It doesn't
And then
say-
the second sentence.
Well, the second sentence says in conjunction with, and what you had mentioned with the governmental agencies. But my point in the first sentence is it's not that the chair wants to do this. The chair is to just bring forth what the AAC committee wants to be agenda. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, can we keep that language up? I just want to read, since we read the first sentence, we should read the second sentence. It is within the Agricultural Advisory Committee does have motions and take votes to put things on the agenda, right? So that is something that's within your prerogative. That's part of your responsibility as a body, is to identify the items that go on the agenda. So that is what that first sentence says. And then the second sentence says and so we're not changing that. There's no proposal to change that sentence, right? That one would stay as is. It's the second sentence, which says the chair or vice chair of the AAC, in conjunction with persons from other governmental agencies, as may be required, shall prepare an agenda for the upcoming meeting. And so that's what's being proposed to change, is not the first sentence, but the second sentence, which says that the chair shall prepare the agenda, which is not what happens. Staff prepares the agenda.
maybe I'm confused, but it doesn't say that on my paper. On my paper, the change says the chair or vice chair of the AAC shall assist the planning liaison. And that's what it says, with preparation of an agenda for the upcoming meeting. It does not say the way you worded it. Maybe you have a different.
No, I was reading it as currently drafted. So as currently drafted, it says the chair or vice chair of the AAC, in conjunction with persons from other governmental agencies as may be required, shall
Yes.
prepare an agenda for the upcoming
Okay.
meeting.
And what you
And
want
so
to
that's
change
what's
that
being
to
proposed to change.
what you want to change it to is the chair or vice chair of the AAC shall assist the planning liaison instead of
With preparation,
with
right.
the preparation.
And so
Right.
my advice to the committee is if you're not comfortable as a body with that assist language and you want to change it to make it more emphasize the importance of the chair in working with staff to make sure that the committee's concerns and issues are included on that agenda, you can do that. But I just want to emphasize that the purpose of this change is to reflect actual practice, which is that the chair does not prepare the agenda. The staff prepares the agenda. That's true for all the county's bodies. There's no body that actually the chair goes out and writes the agenda. And so that's what this edit is meant to be
But Brian,
updated.
it doesn't say in here that the chair prepares it at all. It doesn't say that in the current bylaws, section 4.6, it says the AAC shall prepare. Okay, and then the
Madam
second,
Chair, can you read the second sentence? Can you read the second
and the
sentence aloud?
second sentence says the chair or vice chair of the AAC in conjunction with persons from other governmental agencies as may be required shall prepare an agenda for the upcoming meeting. So it doesn't say, it's all about the AAC. It's not, that's what it says in there. It doesn't say the chair does it, just to be.
But it does. That's what it says. It says the chair shall prepare an agenda.
After the
It's
conjunction.
just
The
that
second
the
sentence
conjunction
says the chair or vice chair of
clause
the
is
AAC shall
In
prepare an
conjunction
agenda.
with persons from other governmental agencies. Yeah,
That's right. And county staff is not another governmental agency. We're all the same governmental agency. And so that's why that clarification is needed.
Okay, so then okay, I don't understand then why county staff made the agendas and have been making the agendas if that's the case. Because that shouldn't be occurring then.
So again, I just want to emphasize, I'm not trying to discourage you from changing what's being proposed. It can say what you think is appropriate, and I would absolutely encourage you, if the body thinks it's important to emphasize the role of the chair in working with staff to set the agenda items, that language can be changed, and it's within your discretion to change it. But I would recommend that it reflect what actually occurs with agenda.
Well, I think the chair should be out of it. I think it should be the AAC committee. I don't think the chair should have that authority.
Well,
You know,
I think that it's useful to assign the chair or the vice chair to be able to coordinate with someone like Summer or Robbie outside of this meeting to set up the next meeting rather than us all talking about it together. Because we're having, trouble getting through everything in the current agenda, let alone figuring out what's going to be on the next one.
that's a good point. Yeah.
So I think that's why.
Well, we could
that's
change the
sort of how it's
language.
been happening.
I think that's a good point. We could change the language to, instead of assist, to something with a different wording. And that could be a possibility, because that's a good point. Absolutely. But I think I think it's important that we don't want to take what our role is. We don't want to lose that. We're going to lose our voice. And that's what is the concern. And I think what's happening is, to your point, Brian, you said, well, we need to do what's happening. Well, not really. I mean, if people are driving 120 on the Highway 1, which they do sometimes, doesn't mean we change the laws to say that's okay. We need to do what's right. And that means that we need to keep our voice here. So with these bylaws, it's important. But that's a good point. We could change it and just change the wording. I'm sorry, Crystal?
Well, I was gonna say, I did go through all of these, and as I was reading them, I don't feel comfortable with the way they were written. So I came here tonight I was gonna make a motion earlier, just keep the bylaws the way they were written. with the exception of the grammar corrections. And if we are seeing things that do need to be updated, maybe instead of the county coming to us with the corrections or modifications, maybe we as a committee also have some input in the way, that way it's not being taken away from us and we feel like it is, we still have a hand in it.
Exactly.
I would
like to make
say,
that motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we keep the bylaws the way they are, with
Except
the
for the
exception,
grammatical.
yeah.
Okay, I'd like to second that.
The chair can't second.
Oh, the chair can't second. Do I have a second?
Can we just,
Oh, can we
Madam
discuss?
Chair, Madam Chair, Madam Chair. There are some, I appreciate the committee, like, there are some changes here that are just meant to make the bylaws consistent with law. So, like, for instance, the changes to the conflict of interest section, it doesn't accurately reflect what the law says. And so there are changes that are being proposed that are meant to update the bylaws to be consistent with current law. And I would just encourage you to make those changes.
Ryan, you know what would be helpful? Do you have those written laws and you can provide those to us? I think that would be helpful. And or you can just say the laws and I can look them up and provide them to everybody, but probably better coming from you. You have
So
those.
I can explain it. So that, for instance, the conflict of interest laws, when these bylaws were written, the Agricultural Advisory Committee was identified as a decision-making body in the county's conflict of interest code. They were removed. So at that time, the committee members were required to file Form 700s, for instance, and also were required to comply with the requirements of the Political Reform Act, as stated in the bylaws. Since that time, the AAC has been removed from the county's conflict of interest rules. And so that is why the AAC members no longer file Form 700s, nor are you required to comply with the Political Reform Act. So, so there is not a law that I can point you to. It's actually a change in the board's own conflict of interest rules, which no longer identify the AAC as.
Not a lot changed. Okay, Ron Sturgeon, I'd like to recognize you, please.
Yeah, sure. Through the chair.
Yeah.
You're gonna have public speaking, but is the AAC members, are they done asking questions?
No, but the public usually talks.
Do you want to open the public?
Yeah, it could be public along with the members, if that's okay with everybody.
You
So,
kind of have to have comments from the AAC and then public comments. You can't intermingle.
okay, we also have a motion on the table too, I believe. Okay, so Peter, we can't mingle because we've done that. That's the way we usually did it.
I just want, in all due respect, I just want to make a statement. This is when we had to file the 700 form, and I brought the literature that Ron Sturgeon brought to me years ago. It says it wasn't the change of the county. It was, in fact, by law, according to my attorney. And he said that he looked it up and all Ron's work that he did, and said Ron was correct because we were an advisory committee. We were exempt from the 700 form, and we fought for that, and we finally were heard. And so it wasn't because of, it was a change of law by that the county made. It was by law that our forum was just advisory committee. It should have never had to done the 700.
Yeah, that's why if you mention the law, if you bring those laws in writing, I would like to recognize a public member, Ron Sturgeon. I think that he has something important to say.
The law hasn't changed. Being an advisory committee exempts by law the committee from having to file Form 700. I think the bylaws would be best changed to reflect what is now required by the Board of Supervisors, but the Board of Supervisors had to come into recognize what the law was. We had county council come and apologize to this committee for its advice to the Board of Supervisors that required advisory committees to file Form 700. But one of the question I have for the committee is who's bringing I mean, Summer skipped over a whole lot, and I'm just wondering who's bringing these amendments forward? Who's proposing these amendments? Who's working on this? The committee hasn't been involved. The committee should have been involved to get it to this point. I agree with Crystal that the committee should reject bylaws as they're being presented, the revised bylaws. But the committee should work on doing what county council suggests and what staff is suggesting, some changes, but yeah, I have some recommendations in that I was involved in creating the current bylaws, and I, along with the agricultural commissioner, our most beloved agricultural commissioner, and we wanted a strong committee, as I think our current chairman would desire too. And I think that Crystal's right. The committee should reject what's being proposed by motion and work on it together with the county. You had a retreat where the committee tried to sort out their values. The problem is between the committee and county. And that wasn't working.
Thank you, I agree. We do have a motion on the floor.
If I may.
Yes.
Can we check with, county attorney's office, because this meeting was just to read and discuss and not take a vote. So I'm not sure, even just to reject it, I'm not sure if the vote can happen tonight, and I just want to check with county attorney's office, and that's okay. And I think
Any discussion about that, Cole?
I think, the discussion that we've had thus far, there hasn't, I think it's unclear exactly what the particular, what points are of contention. I think there are a few things were more vague, but I think what would probably behoove us all is to take time for all of us to reread this in the context of this conversation, and then come back to discuss this more and potentially vote on it at the next meeting. With specific annotations in terms of saying what could be changed. So I probably would move to agenda as, and I apologize, I don't mean to step over the other one.
I don't care.
But I'd move to, I'm not sure if we can vote on this meeting anyway, it sounds like, but I think it would make sense to agendize this for the next meeting, and that way we can discuss particular points of contention of what feels like should or should not be changed.
I appreciate that. I don't want to, it sounds like maybe she wants to check and see if we can vote on it. I don't want to take your motion when there's a motion pending. But I think that what Ron said is absolutely the issue here, and the issue of the committee members is this is something, like Crystal says, that we need to create with and in collaboration with the county. This was something that we actually did not want on this agenda yet. We wanted you all to be able to look at it, all of us discuss it, and we all create it. But we were told no, it had to be. So that's why it is. Yes, Marilyn.
It had to start somewhere, right? Maybe the grammatical corrections, things that were maybe out of date. So it could start with, they started it. Now we can
But we need
about
time
it.
to look at it and stuff and everything.
And then send it back and.
I think
Or vote
we can discuss it, and to Crystal's point and to Cole's point is we can all work on it. And if there's going to be a change, we make a change. And if there's not going to be a change, we don't. Or we discuss Crystal's idea of adopting the bylaws as is. And maybe there are a couple things out of date, take those out, or just a grammatical. I think we all needs to be discussed and created amongst us.
We-
With the county's help, of course, yes.
If I just may touch on one more thing too, it just from my reading of it, there's not much that I have like an issue with particularly, and most of it is like grammatical errors or it's just having something be more concise. So I think what we should probably do for independently is highlight where the particular line items, item by item, that any member has an issue with and just discuss those specifically. Because it seems to me that like we're the appropriate response shouldn't be just to kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater, because it seems like a lot of this makes sense to change. But there are probably specific things that should be discussed before we lock them in essentially by a vote, yes or no. So
Yeah, and I think that us being involved in creation would be good. DJ?
My opinion, I knew I was originally on the board when it first started, and the strongly urged at the time of the county also agreed that there should be a farmer and a rancher, chair and the vice chair. I mean, you gotta have somebody that knows, has knowledge of agriculture. That's what this is, an agriculture advisory committee. You can't have a person from the public that doesn't know anything about agriculture running your meeting and understanding the problems of agriculture. You're going to be sitting here educating a person that hasn't got the knowledge, and we're talking about wasting time. You got to have people here that understand agriculture so you can take it from there and go on. And having a non-agricultural person, to me, is defeating this committee.
Right. Marilyn, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm a public member.
I know.
And I would be honored to be the chair.
But
But
there's
yeah.
exceptions. I'm not saying all.
But I have what you're saying. I
kind of feel you're going to tell me that. But there's people that don't understand agriculture, and you don't want to sit here and try to educate.
Absolutely.
Summer. Cory.
I have a clarifying question about section 2.4 and the length and limitations of terms. And maybe since Brian's on here, he can help. I've kind of noticed some inconsistencies on the website about the terms and how they're listed. So like, for instance, like Marilyn Johnson, she has first term March 25th, 2025 to September 30th, 2025. And then like John Vars is listed as first term expiring September 30th, 2024. So I feel like, and obviously Maryland's isn't a complete term. So
I asked about that.
yeah. Oh, okay. So I think it would help if we had kind of some clarification, like, is Maryland starting a partial term that already exists, or how is that working?
I believe.
So I would, I hopefully can defer to staff on this one. What I can tell you is that there are rules for how to handle partial terms, and I'm assuming that staff does a good job of keeping track of who's been appointed to a partial term and whether that counts towards the 12-year of full terms. So there are rules for how partial terms get counted towards that term limit. And I can't address any individual appointees, but I would look to staff to confirm that that what they're doing is consistent with those rules.
That would be good, because like it almost seems to me like Maryland shouldn't say first term.
No.
It should say partial or something. Is she?
On
Yeah, because it's only like
We'll have to
it's
check
obviously
it.
a partial
But yeah.
How
term,
could I have already been?
but
Right.
and so just so we can like keep track of that as well, as far as because staff change, everybody changes, you know.
Yeah, we can definitely take a look at the website with the boards and commissions office to make sure that it's all accurate. But I believe, and I have lost track of everyone's term limit since not kind of being more involved in the AAC more recently. But I believe Maryland is on a partial term because you took over someone else's term.
No, that's
Is
your
that-
man's bacon for
Yeah.
years. I didn't take
There were several. Okay.
So I was appointed in March instead of in October.
Okay.
But I applied in September.
Okay.
Yeah, I was probably, I applied a long time before I ever got a call, but things are busy and whatever, but
Yeah.
when I asked Olivia why I had a year, I completed my first year away. I've been here,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, because you came in midway. I think that wasn't my choice. Like, did you want me to wait until October and then join in so I could serve a full year? I
Yeah,
don't know.
we can check with the boards and commissions and bring it back. I think in terms of everyone's service, like where they're at service wise.
Yeah, so it's not really a concern about the language necessarily, but just kind of what record keeping is. And secondly, like I just want to say that what I see is a lot of kind of corrections to this, and I don't think that we should necessarily like completely toss it out for that reason, but like rather review it and kind of pinpoint what it is that actually is bothering people about and make those suggestions instead of throwing it out.
You know what, Summer would be good is, could you, when you go through this, and Vince had a question, I knew you were gonna say something, but maybe when you go through it the next time is say the reason that you said some of the reasons for some of it, but maybe some of the reasons for the other ones, you know, like why are we changing from, you know, Sturgis to Rosenberg rules or whatever, you know, that's the reason.
Yeah.
Because then that is gonna help with, you know, the decision making and go ahead, and then Vince had a question. Oh, okay, go ahead, Vince.
I'm 100%, 150% with this one. The county wants to change the limit, wants to change the rules and regulations. It's their benefit. Anybody who wants to change a rule, it's because it's going to benefit them. I think Crystal's right. That thing should be stayed. Still with it. Anything can be changed. It should be this committee changing to the county. County's got no business changing what's there already. I back 150%. I would vote no.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think that was the way I feel too, because the thing is, the current bylaws, they need to be adhered to, and they're not. You don't just change them because somebody's not doing it right. Well, we just change them, make it easier for them, you know?
Change something, I want to change the speed limit because I want to drive fast.
Exactly. You stole my analogy, but I'm glad. Okay, Summer.
Okay,
Yeah.
I would say I do believe, in my opinion, the majority of the changes are to align with the Brown Act, with state laws and county laws. But we did put underneath each one, and we can add more, you know, clarification under each rule that has some changes. What the reasons were, whether they were grammatical errors, whether they're alignment with state laws. And the other question would just be, because I know it's past 8, but if the committee would like, we can come back and as I think Cole has suggested, if everybody is able, if all the members are able to take some time to review the changes before the next meeting, and then at the next meeting, I'm happy to come back and we can go through rule by rule and see like, okay, are there any, issues on this one? Are there any concerns on this one, and discuss those on a rule by rule basis? Some of them will be just grammatical errors, so we can, I think, go through those pretty quickly, but we can spend time on the ones where you guys have reviewed and noted on your own that you have concerns or want to discuss further, if that's helpful for the committee.
What about the fact that we have a motion on?
Well, the other thing is I would defer to, we already deferred to Brian. But I would defer to Brian whether, because again, tonight was just to read and discuss the rules. You can't actually take a vote on them tonight. You can just vote to continue them to a future meeting date and then take a vote, yay or nay, at the next meeting.
But it was publicized per the Brown Act in on the website 72 hours prior.
Yeah, but your bylaws state that you can't, the first meeting is for the AAC for changing bylaws is to just read and discuss, and then you have to schedule it again to actually take a vote on it.
It says that in the bylaws here?
Yeah, in rule, I think it's the last rule 9B. So do I need to remove my?
Now we're gonna adhere to the.
So we'll just.
Well, this also says.
To your point,
Introduction
Vince.
and discussion. It doesn't say that. It does not.
No,
place
but that was
an
the
action item.
agenda. That's right. Okay, so what bylaw?
Rule 9B is that it's rules can be adopted or amended after consideration at 2 meetings of the AAC. And so you've got the first would be proposed
Okay.
additions or amendments to rules should be submitted to members.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says that in 9B. Thank you.
I think that
But
the request tonight is just to read, discuss, and then continue the item. to
And I
future
move that we follow all the bylaws, not just that one. All right, Ben, did you have something again? DJ did, I'm sorry. DJ.
Is it possible, he says, no.
Yeah.
Is it possible to get a copy of the bylaws where these changes were made?
Yeah, they're.
I mean, you can see where they made the state made this change.
It's proposed change.
Yeah.
It's, and you can see.
The online version shows the track changes in color, so you can see exactly what's been added, deleted, modified.
Could you clarify what green means in the, you use green ink in the final resolution?
The green, you have green ink as opposed to the pink. Oh, it doesn't mean anything. It's just what Word does. If you save it and then go back to it later, it sometimes changes the color that you're track changing.
Okay.
The colors don't mean anything. I mean, the blue text shows what the reasonings were under each rule. But otherwise, the actual changes, the color of the changes, I think majority are in red. But if they're different color, it doesn't have any. Yeah, it's just how Word works, depending on when you're working on the document. Yeah.
So the colors don't matter.
No. Right. Colors don't matter.
One other comment.
Okay, is there any public member, Ron Sturgeon?
Yeah, one other comment that there's a change in the current bylaws that changes small m to a capital M.
Yes.
When you're talking about members, small m is appropriate, not large M. And it runs through the whole proposal for revision.
Yeah.
I would like to see that changed back to small m because we're talking about the committee, the makeup of the committee, not anyone in particular. You can consult your lawyer as for grammar. I don't think he's too keen on the law, but maybe he knows the grammar.
Yes, thank you. We did do that intentionally because it's meant to imply the membership, the committee membership, not just random member.
Small m. It's small m.
I would, I would see if there's any other comments for the meeting. Hold on, just order to, because we want to adjourn if we're done, are getting close to it. But before I do, I would encourage, if we're going to follow the bylaws, to what she suggested on that one part, that we follow all the bylaws. We can't pick and choose which one. It doesn't work that way. All right, any other public members or anybody else that has something? Okay, Brian Pettit, County Council. Go ahead.
Sure. So just a few things. I heard lots of questions directed towards me. I'm going to answer as many as I possibly can and provide some additional direction. First, I want to clarify the law. On the Political Reform Act, I want to make sure everyone's clear on this. There is no categorical exemption for advisory bodies. There is a definition of public officer in the Political Reform Act that does not include members of advisory bodies where their recommendations are not regularly taken up and adopted by the decision-making body. So the board is responsible for identifying which advisory bodies are included in its conflict of interest rules and which ones are not. For many years, the AAC was included, which is why the bylaws currently reflect the requirement that you file a Form 700 and comply with the Political Reform Act. The board did change that at one point and did identify you as a purely advisory body. And so that's why the Form 700 requirement doesn't apply to you. And that's why I would recommend that you change the bylaws. In terms of what's being agendized tonight, if you want to vote to do nothing with the bylaws and just reject them whole cloth, you can do that. You are agendized to do that. I want to emphasize for you, because I feel like staff is being identified as sort of the source for a lot of these changes and sort of questioning the intent behind the changes. I want to clarify, they were sent to me for review, for legal review. And so a lot of those changes are my changes simply to update the bylaws to be consistent with current law. That's all they are. And I would happily be part of the presentation to your committee so that you have a sense of that. But the idea that the committee would be the source of the changes to conform to law, ultimately those are going to come to me anyways. And so I'm going to be making the same changes regardless, right? I will be making the same recommendations to you. And if you don't like those recommendations, or if you're not comfortable with them, you don't have to accept them, and you don't have to change the bylaws. But I assure you that my changes are not devious. My intent is not to sort of sap any authority from the committee. Most of those changes are just my changes to make the bylaws consistent with current law. That's all. And I'm happy to give you more context on that. With that, I would strongly recommend it is within your discretion to just reject them and not take up the bylaws. They are in need of amendment. It's been over 20 years. The law has changed. I'm happy to help you with that, but I would strongly recommend, as has been suggested, that you just continue this to a future date, and pick it up there and identify which parts of it you want to change, which parts you don't want to. And I can certainly assist in providing more context for my recommended changes.
Thank you. You mentioned the laws, so can you give us copies of those laws you're referencing?
Mostly I'm referencing the Brown Act and the standing laws of the Board of Supervisors.
Okay,
So
can you give us those then? Because I think that'll help a
The
lot.
standing rules are included in this packet.
Right, but the Brown Act and the other laws that you're referencing.
Through the
Yeah.
chair, can you just wrap up the public speaking and ask if there's any online comments?
Okay, wrapping up the public speaking. What?
We still have number 9.
Well, I want to, let's wrap up
Oh,
this
thank
item
you.
now.
I mean,
Let's wrap up this. We're not going to be able to get to that item. But can you
Okay,
wrap this up?
so you, before I do the public, I want to finish to what he said. So we do have a motion pending. He said we could vote. Do you want to vote then and continue with your motion and get a second? Or do you want to discuss and wait for next time? I want to do what you guys want to do on that.
But
I want to go to what, yeah.
I do want to, it's here just to wrap up the public speaking. If there's anybody online that wants to
Okay,
speak.
is there anybody online who wants to speak on this item? Okay, and that's a no?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, there are no hands raised on Zoom. Thank you.
Okay, anybody here that wants to speak on this item anymore? Okay, so going back to yeah, Peter?
Like just to table it to another meeting.
Okay, so but I had a motion on the table, so we need to figure out what to do with that motion first. So since
Somerset.
the support of you guys is where I
not a
need
motion
you
item.
for this.
sorry,
concept.
I was incorrect. If you're,
Yeah.
I think
said
Brian
different,
clarified, if you're voting to just not make any changes, you can vote on that tonight. Sorry.
Okay, so is that the only thing we could vote on, or so, because Cole had another motion and Crystal had another motion. I just want to adhere to I don't want to throw away what their motions were. So do we have a second on Crystal's motion? Okay, I'd like to second it, but I was told that you can't as a chair, so, okay, Peter seconds it. Do we have all in those favors, say aye? Aye. Okay, we have 3 ayes and we have all those not in favor say nay. 1, 2, 3, 4 nays, right? Okay, so the nays have it. So that did not go through. We had another motion and that was Cole's. And Cole, your motion was, can you repeat that?
Was to agendize this for the next meeting, so we can discuss specific items that may be.
Okay, and create. You said a different word, but I forgot.
Yeah, I remember how I phrased it, but essentially can agendas next meeting, so we can discuss specific items of contention and then can give that feedback back to the county as far as finalizing what this document would look like based on our conversation.
Okay, do we have a
Second that.
second for that?
Second.
Okay, Ryan Casey seconds it. All those in favor say aye. So 1, 2, can you do a hand raise, please? Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
2 nays. Okay, so the ayes have it. So we will discuss at the next meeting. Just for a point of clarification, when you say to give them our feedback, that also includes, does it also include creating it the way that we would like to say, well, can we word it this way, or we'd like to have this?
Well,
Okay, all right.
then, oh, yeah, oh.
Well, I just wanted to clarify, but I don't
Yes,
want to
yeah,
change
yeah,
what you're saying.
I haven't thought.
Okay, that's okay. I just want to make sure I got it correctly. Okay, okay. All right, so, next item on the agenda, did I miss anything going forward? Okay, is, the January retreat follow-up and discussion.
I think we need to table this at this point.
Okay, okay, so we'll table that to the next meeting. Do you have a motion to table that to the next
I
meeting?
have a motion to table.
Okay, the January retreat, Peter tables it, Crystal is the second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay, no? Okay, and, at 8:18 PM, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.